Hello, my name's Ernst Wilhelm, and I'm going to talk to you about some myths and secrets of Vedic astrology to show you the potentials and the types of things that can be done with Vedic astrology. One thing that can be done is timing events to the day. Timing the exact day an event will happen. And this can really be done in any branch of astrology, but it's usually not something that's done too heavily. Probably because it's just sort of nerve-wracking and intimidating to try to do that because it's so easy to make a mistake, But it can be done. And it's actually not that difficult to predict the days that certain elements come into your life. In fact, all we do, here we have a circle with your planets on. Let's say you've got your rising sign here. And this isn't what your Hindu horoscope would necessarily look like, but I'm just showing this in a circle so you can see it. You got your rising sign or ascendant here. Then you got your 7th house over here. Then say you've got Jupiter over here, and say you've got Venus over here, whatever. And imagine all the planets here in your chart. All the other planets are going to be circulating around the heavens, around the zodiac throughout the year. And when those transiting planets make certain hits to your planets in your house cusp, like your ascendant or 7th house cusp, or any of the other house cusp, they'll trigger an event. In fact, even when certain planets in the sky are aligned in such a way relevant to each other, and those certain planets represent certain things in your chart, it'll trigger an event that day. Okay? So, basically, the moving planets have the ability to trigger events in our life. And the way they do that is the moving planets represent the environment we're in. So let's say Venus is moving through the sky, and Venus crosses your ascendant point on a particular day. On that day, Venus is going to be in your environment. Okay? And Venus represents an attractive person, a person you'd be attracted to. Okay? So on that day, you're going to have an attractive person in your environment. And that's easy to predict. I just taught you how to do it. Just look for when Venus crosses your ascendant, and on that day, an attractive person will be in your environment. Simple. But, now look at this. Venus goes through the sky, and it takes about once every year to go through here and hit this point. And it's not like once every year we fall in love with someone that we can marry, right? Some people go through years of dry spells, right? Some people fall in love more often than that. Because this is not enough to make you meet your soulmate. Just Venus crossing your ascendant. It just puts someone attractive in your environment. But what role does that person play? How significant are they going to be in your life? Are they just a cute person that you meet at the checkout stand at Walmart? Or are they someone that asks you out and you eventually need to become engaged to and get married with and have kids? In either case, you have an attractive person in your environment. And that's all this planet's doing. Well, with Vedic astrology, what we have to do, in addition to just finding out what's in your environment, we have to find out how important that thing is. Is that thing in your environment and really big in your life? Or is it in your environment and it's just so small after 2 weeks you won't even remember it? It's going to be there either way. The hard thing for the astrologer to do is to see when this is going to become bigger. And for that, what happens is we have to have a lot of things setting it up. So there has to be other planets, bigger planets, like Jupiter and Mercury ideally, which are the two creators in the zodiac, of the planets like to create things tangibly for us, things we can sink our teeth into and hold on to. They have to be in certain positions to set up the event to be more concrete. And then in Hindu astrology, we have lots of secondary charts. So we don't just have the birth chart, the map of the sky that you see. We have 15 secondary charts. And each of those charts represents a particular area of life. And things in that chart have to come to the surface to make it real. So for you to meet your spouse on that day, factors in your spouse chart have to be in the right positions to make that a more important spousal or relationship type day. And then there's another chart that we call the Shashtyamsha, which is where we take each sign of the zodiac and chop it into 60 small parts. And everything therefore falls into a whole new paradigm that we have to look for. We also have to find when certain things in that chart line up to make the destiny uniquely yours. Because the person born a minute after you is going to have Venus crossing their ascendant on the very same day. But the day they meet their spouse is not going to be the same as the day you meet yours. Because in this chart where we chop everything up into 60 small parts is going to determine to a large degree how important that event is for you versus another person. And if it's really going to be a big concrete event. So before we can just say, oh, Venus is crossing your ascendant, you're going to meet your spouse, the astrologer has to look at the foundation and see, are things set up for an important event or a minor event? If it's an important event, then the astrologer looks for when Venus is going to trigger and put love in your environment. And then we know it's going to be a big love because the factors are set up for you to have that big love going on at that time. And that's what makes predictions difficult, is that's, doing several things, not just one thing. And those things are dependent on accurate birth time. So if your birth time's off by a minute, the astrologer could be predicting the most important romantic day for the person born a minute after you and not you. So this makes predictive astrology really difficult, but it can be done. In fact, I predicted the day I met my spouse. And ironically, I had two of these triggers going on that day. Two of these, romance or attractive person in the environment thing. On that day, I actually met two attractive girls. And I just hope I walked away with the right one. I think I did because it's been 13 good years of marriage. But there was two things in my environment, right? Okay? So, but it was also, everything was lined up for that to be important time of life for meeting the life partner. And so when the romantic person or the attractive person came into my environment, that had to be her. On another day, it wouldn't have been her. So the astrologer has to do some background work on your chart to make sure when things are going to be aligned. So when these triggers come along, which are happening all the time, the event really happens. Okay? So predicting events of the day can be a lot of fun. I've actually created a calendar that I call the Looking Forward to It calendar that looks at the 13 most important things in our lives. Co-creation, which has to do with children. Fortune, which has to do with getting extra money or real estate. Career, finding our place in the world. Love, marriage, and financial well-being, health. Those things that we need the most to be happy. And you can sort of take a look at what this calendar looks like. This is 1 month. And you can see it has little words on it and little colored bars and little stars. What this calendar does is it maps all these trigger transits that show me when something's going to be in my environment. Okay? So it'll show, like when Venus crosses the ascendant, it's going to show a love transit, because there's romance or attraction person in my environment. And it maps all of those. So there's going to be a lot of days to look forward to on this calendar. And then the days where things are lined up for that thing in your environment to become a bigger, more important thing, we have a little star on that day as well. And that shows it's a more important one. That's when these foundation factors are also lined up. And so that's the day you can expect big things to happen. Okay? Now, those stars are dependent on really, really accurate birth time, though. And that's just the liability of predictive astrology. If your birth time's not accurate, predictions will not be 100% accurate either. But an astrologer could take your chart and refine your birth time to make it perfect. And that's what I did with mine. I had to adjust my birth time by, I think, 12 seconds to make it just perfect. So this calendar just works for me like a clockwork. Before I had it just perfect, it would, sometimes I would think an event would be bigger than it was, and it wouldn't be as big as expected. So you got to have good birth time. But even if your birth time is off, these triggering days, the day that Venus is going to be in your environment as an attractive person, or the day that money will be in your environment, are all going to still happen. It's just if your birth time's not right, the calendar won't show you if they're as the right size, how important they are accurately. But still, you can look forward to that day. So for instance, according to my chart today, I have a star with a fortune transit, or trigger. Well, fortune has to do with like real estate, getting things above and beyond your needs. And I'm actually looking at a house today with a realtor, with the hopes of possibly purchasing it. It looks pretty favorable for me to find a property I like right now because I've got this nice real estate transit. I've also got one on Monday and on Friday. So that's like this whole week is about real estate for me. And that's how my life seems to be going right now. And it's with a star, so it's nice. Now let's say my birth time was off a little bit. Well, then the star wouldn't be there, and I might, think the star's there and things don't work out as high as I expected, but I would still be involved with something that has to do with fortune or real estate. So the trigger is always going to be accurate. You're always going to see what's in your environment, even if your birth time is wrong. That's just like totally wrong, but even if it's wrong by a little bit. But how big the event is, you really need accurate birth time. But either way, you can get a lot out of this calendar. And it only plots desirable things, the things in life that you want to make you happy. And I've just found this thing to be really accurate in my life and really fun to look forward to. Like, I had a few days here, you can see where I didn't really have a lot of activity, There was nothing really special going on. So I was like, well, those are just normal days where I plug away at work with a lot of excitement, knowing that I've got on Saturday a fortune, a marriage, and a fate triggers all going on. And so that's really profound because a fate transit kind of can give you good luck out of the blue. Something happens due to the blessings of your ancestors, so to speak, that benefits you. At the same day that I'm looking at real estate and have a fortune transit. And we know the worst thing for looking at real estate is that your wife might not like it. It can actually pull people apart. You start thinking, why did I marry you? I want this house and she doesn't want it. Well, today I also have a marriage transit with the star. So this is going to be a really important bonding day for me and my spouse somehow. We're going to feel more unified in our purpose in a way that's going to have a big impact in our life. So I don't have to worry about having a fight with her over wanting different houses. So, so this is how you can use this transit. It's a lot of fun. You can get it on my website. I haven't taught this technique yet. Okay, I will have a class on this technique before long because it's such a great technique. How to do all the foundation. I don't have that technique yet. When I do, you'll find it on my astrology video website, astrology-videos.com. But I do have this calendar report that's made, and it comes with a 2-page explanation of how to use it and what all these colors and words actually mean. And you can get that at Vault of the Heavens, V-A-U-L-T, Vault of the Heavens.com. And it's a years-long calendar that you just start on any month of your choice. And then you can kind of watch the good things in your life come into your environment and enjoy them. Okay? Thank you.